Hello?
The show Black Mirror is really one of my favorite shows of probably all time. There are many narratives that are within this universe that excel at presenting the dark side of humanity as it is reflected within the lens of the technology that we create to aid our selfish existence. Then it comes time for the second season for Netflix, which is season 4, and it's like the writing just fell off a cliff.
Your father left Livia with a fucking package that could choke a fucking elephant. He's like a woman with a Virginia ham under her arm, crying the blues because she has no bread.
So the Virginia ham, in a narrative sense, is the bastard child of a deus ex machina, wherein it is essentially a MacGuffin that occurs in the first act, but undermines the motivations of one or several characters in doing so.
Okay, then.
This has been a problem in a lot of narratives in the last 20 years or so. Mike Stacklasa explained it very well in the Resident Evil movies.
Okay, then.
You have the ability to clone humans, all of which seems much more advantageous. It's just an excuse to have visuals.
Yeah, a series of neat environments.
Yeah, Moscow, New York,
Yeah.
zombies.
Here they are fighting zombies in Moscow. Here they are fighting zombies, whatever.
Yeah. But you have to take that with a grain of salt, because you're watching this movie and you're like, this is the most ridiculous thing ever.
It's really stupid.
The logic of it just collapses in on itself.
So yeah, like I was saying, this is a problem that occurs a lot in modern story writing. It's not limited to Netflix series or video games or books or TV shows. It happens way too often. It's where you have an integral part of the plot that's supported by a piece of technology, wasn't thought about while the narrative was being constructed, because if you do think about the implications of that technology, it completely undermines the motivations of one, if not several, characters within the universe. In this case, it doesn't only undermine the characters, it also invalidates other technology that was very well constructed in previous episodes in order to facilitate the ending. I'll say that again. They already had their ending that they wanted to achieve, and so they altered the technology in the universe to achieve that ending, which really makes me wonder about the previous episodes that I hold in such high regard. Like, how much did Charlie Brooker actually have to do with those episodes if he says things like this?
No better person to answer that question than one of the writers of this episode / the show's creator, Charlie Brooker. When talking about an earlier version of the script, he explained, Daly had to do 2 things: get the DNA and download the contents of your grain, but it was just too much business. But as Brooker continued to explain, eventually I went, oh, sod it. Let's just say he gets their DNA and grows them all in a magic machine. When Shania says, whatever, it's a gizmo, that was me letting on that I knew it didn't make sense, but still you see people complaining. I know it doesn't make sense, it's just that I don't care.
Styrofoam cup.
Alright, clearly the creator was too busy cashing checks to think about it, so let's think about it for a second. Here we see Daly going back to his apartment. He's taking out the coffee lid from Nanette Cole's coffee cup, and he's swabbing it for maybe some saliva or some dead skin cells, and he's going to place it into what Charlie Brooker has called a magic box that will recreate a perfect cookie of her on Daly's computer without her grain data.
I'm not going to explain the grains or the ZIs or the cookies or any of that shit. If you don't know what they are, you don't need to be watching this, and you go watch the show. In the words of Harry Plinkett, Billy Shason once said, don't waste my fucking time. Thank you.
So not only has he completely invalidated a very integral piece of technology to the universe of Black Mirror in this episode by saying that, oh, well, all of that data is available on a skin cell, he also, like we said before, introduces the Virginia ham, which is, if you could do all of this, why are you making a video game? Like, it's already been established that cookies aren't seen as people. They're seen as tools. Like in this episode here, White Christmas.
A little melodramatic, isn't it?
No, she thought she was real.
But she wasn't. It's barbaric. It wasn't really real, so it wasn't really barbaric.
Where you have John Hamm attempting to extract a confession from this man. This man is not a flesh and blood man. He is a digital copy of the consciousness of a man that exists in real life, but they are interacting inside of a simulated environment like a game engine or something. That being said, if Daly has the ability to take a couple of skin cells off of some other object and recreate this perfect cookie of this person that he could do whatever he want with. I know that I keep starting and stopping the thought here, but I really want this to be clear. That this piece of technology implies that this person could wipe a door handle where you previously placed your hand and then go home and place that sample into his magic box and create a perfect clone of you that knows everything about you, including all of your memories, your complete biological construct, if you will. Like, this guy would be the Joseph Mengele of bodily autonomy. And I don't mean that he's a Nazi. What I mean is, I don't know how a person in this universe that's been created in Black Mirror, that's highly surveilled and all data mined with all this personal data that people put out there, which has been demonstrated in other episodes, that Robert Daly is able to exist as a free man, and there aren't multiple governments or other private interests trying to either control him, steal his technology, or buy him out.
Visually.
Yeah, a series of neat environments.
Yeah.
I mean, have fun. I mean, on the...
The reason this is so frustrating is because there are really well-written episodes of Black Mirror. Like 15 Million Merits has so much subtext inside of the cinematography and within the space of the dialogue being exchanged. You probably are going to have to watch it a few times in order to pick up on all the subtleties, and in fact I plan on doing a video on this one because this is probably one of my favorite pieces of media that's happened in the last 15 years, this particular episode. So Charlie Brooker clearly knows how to find the talent to deliver his vision, and he clearly knows how to structure his vision properly. He just didn't do it in this episode. Like, imagine what a malevolent person in a position within a government could do with this technology that Daly possesses. If you were, say, a head of state, or like a CEO, or somebody in some high-powered position where it might be beneficial for somebody to try to extract your information or somehow impersonate you, you could basically never leave your house, and you would have to incinerate everything that would need to leave your house. And as is evident in this scene that we are watching, it doesn't just extend to you if you're in that position. It's everybody in your family. You could basically never go anywhere, because if you touch something, you didn't even have to touch something. You could inadvertently shed some skin cells or a hair follicle, and then somebody could compromise all of the data that you are supposed to hold secret. What's even worse is that Charlie Brooker knew that this was a problem when they were writing the episode. See, he created this universe with all of this technology to be able to write this story. So they knew that they would need her grain data along with the data that represents her physically inside of this digital realm,
synthetic brain,
to be able to make the character that they needed to complete the story. And in doing so, they added a new piece of technology that undermined other previous technology, which is fine, but they didn't consider the implications of that when they did it. But it's okay. Sometimes people make mistakes. I mean, I still remember the Borg babies.
Captain, this is incredible. We've entered what appears to be the Borg nursery.
The what? Oh, that cute little guy just assimilated my heart. There's a really easy fix for this in universe. Here in this episode on the screen, the entire history of you, he's going through an airport and he has to let the officer evaluate his grain before he's allowed to pass. If this is a common security procedure at an airport, you can bet money on the fact that this would be a common security procedure at any high-dollar tech or software company as a means to evaluate all their people and make sure their assets and secrets aren't being compromised. This is just another reason why I think all of the smart ideas in Black Mirror weren't Charlie Brooker's. They were clearly somebody else's. Now he's working for Netflix, cashing the big bucks, saying things like, I don't really care how the narrative works. I mean, this is not the worst episode of this season by far.
because a baby.
Yeah, Charlie Brooker, who the fuck kills a baby? What the fuck was the point of this in this episode? There was literally no point in killing a fucking baby. If she already killed like 3 other people, the episode was completely fine without this part. What the fuck are you thinking? But it definitely sets a precedent for the rest of the season by showcasing how good the writers are at giving us characters with no shoes and storylines that can't even go down to the gas station and back to get a pack of cigarettes without forgetting what the hell they're doing, kind of like this sentence I have. Like, what do we know? We know Nanette Cole wanted to work with Robert Daly, and we know Robert Daly started this company because he's a computer nerd. We know that Walton and Daly are friends for some reason, although that never really seems like it ever was the case. And we know that Walton allegedly would fuck a ham sandwich that got chucked across the room.
He's a really good guy. He's a bit of a player. Chuck a ham sandwich across the room or fuck it before it hits the ground, but he's basically an alright bloke.
But for some reason, he's not the bad guy in our pop culture TV show released in 2017. It's the nerdy guy.
Like I said, Commander, Barclay's been running some unusual programs.
This is a violation of protocol. Crew members should not be simulated in the holodeck.
Commander, I don't think there's any regulation against...
Well, there ought to be.
Did you ever notice that there's a fundamental misunderstanding of what Star Trek is within the people who create pop culture? And it's even in people that are making Star Trek now. But keeping it back to Black Mirror, Charlie Brooker said in some other interviews that I'll link my source to in the description that his influence for this particular episode was a few episodes of Star Trek. But to be fair, they were the wrong episodes of Star Trek. See, he wanted to make an episode about a nerd who was doing evil stuff inside of his computer program and how much of a bad guy that he is for doing that. But they didn't realize that this episode already existed. See, in this episode, you got this cat Barclay, who it's implied that he has like Asperger's or something like that, has a hard time getting along with the people on the Enterprise, and they find him on the holodeck where he's recreated people that exist in real life in order to fight them. Or it's implied that like he's fucking the women from the Enterprise on the holodeck. And to be honest, this whole setup is just as creepy as everything that Daly has done in USS Callister. But you know what? They still redeemed Barkley in the end.
But instead, you went back in there.
I know, I didn't want to. I just couldn't help myself.
You're going to be able to write the book on holodiction. Look, I know how easy it is to get caught up in it. I fell in love in there once.
Really?
But I knew when it was time to turn it off and say goodbye. It wasn't easy, but I did it.
You know, the people that I create in there are more real to me than anyone I meet out here. Except maybe you, Commander.
I need you out here, Reg. Now more than ever. Huh?
So we've established that both Daly and Broccoli... I'm not even going to edit out that I said that. I'm leaving that in. That's awesome. So we have two characters, Daly and Barkley, who are both very similar in that they have a hard time relating to the people around them, making friendships, relating to co-workers, and then they both retreat into fantasy worlds as a coping mechanism to deal with their lack of connection in real life. Daly, though, is a punching bag for the author, whereas Barkley is to be a source of inspiration for the person consuming the media. So when you look at it like that, how is the author, in this case Charlie Brooker, not a Robert Daly in his own right? I mean, really, think about it. He created these characters to either torture or vindicate. So how is he not Daly? Like, if a guy works at a shitty job all day and then goes home to play Call of Duty or whatever shooter he likes, and when he's shooting the enemy, he pretends that it's somebody that gave him a hard time at work. Is he a bad person? See, this is the problem when you try to write villains without any empathy as to why they are the way they are. Like, is Charlie Brooker a robot? Is that why he's obsessed with writing fiction where humans are tortured by technology? But you know, I think the real truth in the mystery as to why this narrative, for lack of a better word, exists is indicative in the release date. The season was released, let me double check, December 29th, 2017. So that's basically a full calendar year after Donald Trump took office. So I think it's really easy to see what the point of this episode was.
Oh, we're all very good at conjuring up enough fear to justify whatever we want to do.
Look, all I'm saying is, if you want to do something that is like Star Trek, you should watch some Star Trek first. I mean, this episode was rated so high across multiple websites, and it blows my fucking mind how many people would just look past all of the glaring problems with the characters and the narrative and just eat it up in the age of where it's okay to fucking hate white guys. I mean, everybody's literally being a prick to the fucking guy that gave him a job. Like, this company wouldn't exist if Daly hadn't written that fucking software in the first place. Charlie Brooker, why are you taking money to write narratives if you don't give a fuck about how the narrative makes sense with the fantastical technology that you want to insert in it?
And you assholes are fucking it up!
I did it!